She was only 4 years old, a red windbreaker zipped up to her chin, a heart-shaped locket bouncing against her chest. 1 second, she was running across the porch of her family's farm. The next, she was gone. No screams, no witnesses, just silence. And a single shoe left in the grass. 20 years later, a young woman studying journalism follows fragments of memory. A crooked swing, the smell of lilacs, and a farmhouse that still whispers her name. When she steps onto that porch, she doesn't just find the truth about her disappearance. She finds the secret her family tried to bury for 2 decades. This is the story of Hannah Mitchell, the girl who vanished, and the woman who came back to discover why. Before we begin, tell me, where in the world are you watching from? I read every single comment, and I love seeing where our stories are reaching. She was 4 the day the cornfield swallowed the world. Even now the land remembers. The gravel road lifts pale dust into the twilight, the kind that tastes like chalk. Wind brushes through rows of green like invisible hands. A wind chime taps tin on tin while crickets stitch a steady hum. Far off, a dog barks once and goes quiet. Ahead, a red barn rises from the fields, its paint sun-faded and peeling. A single metal swing hangs crooked beside it. The chain complains when the breeze pushes. Squeak, pause, squeak, as if the air is remembering a smaller weight. The smell is layered: old hay, diesel and packed earth, rain that woke black soil. A mailbox leans at the edge of the drive, its flag long gone. Letters, white ghosts on rust, spell a name time tried to rub away, but failed. Mitchell. The gate is shut with a loop of chain and a brass padlock, spotted green with years. On the post, someone once nailed a horseshoe upside down. Good luck poured out and left. On the breeze there is another thing, barely there, the powdery sweetness of lilacs. It's out of season, but the smell clings to the porch wood, to a scarf stapled over a broken mudroom window. A pickup idles at the roadside with its lights cut, ticking as the engine cools. The driver door opens, a figure steps onto the shoulder and closes the door without a slam. A careful push, the way people close doors when they are listening for something. Gravel crunches. The insect chorus pauses, then resumes, as if rehearsed. From inside the barn, a radio coughs to life, no station at first, just static skidding through frequencies. A timer, maybe. In farm towns, devices do what they've always done until someone tells them different. The dial settles, half caught on a song that was everywhere once, bright guitar, a distant drum, before it drifts again into gray snow. The wind flips the corner of a flyer on the porch bulletin board. Sun bleached it to almost nothing, but lines still show, lost. An outline where a photo used to be, a phone number with an area code that predates everyone's contacts. A small handprint, no more than a smear of dust, rests on the mudroom glass at knee height. The figure at the gate draws closer, lifts a hand to the chain. The brass is cool and sticky with old rain. Fingertips smell like metal. Keys rattle somewhere in a pocket, then stay where they are. Some gates should creak again before they open. On the porch, the timer lamp in the front window blinks awake with the punctuality of machines that outlive their owners. Everything goes still in that square of light. Peeling wallpaper, a nail by the door with nothing hanging on it. The outline, faint as breath on glass, of a heart-shaped locket once pressed against the pane. The locket half, if that's what it was, wrote in dust years ago. No one wiped it away. The radio in the barn catches a station long enough to carry a local ad for seed and feed in a voice that may already be gone. The swing turns slow and points toward the road like a compass needle trying to remember north. There is a taste in the air that means rain will come again before morning. Across the ditch, fireflies rise in hesitant blinks, mapping a path where there is none. The figure breathes in, breathes out, and the sound is almost a sob and almost a laugh. the sound people make at the lip of something they cannot yet name. The chain slides off the post with the soft clink of old jewelry. Hinges remember how to move. She doesn't remember the road, not exactly, but her body does. The tilt in the gravel where the school bus once turned. The shallow ditch where frogs sounded like thumb-rolled balloons in June. The way this yard holds damp after a storm. The first shoe steps onto the drive. The second follows. Beyond the porch, somewhere in the house, a floorboard answers with a low wooden sigh, as if greeting a weight it hadn't carried in 20 years. The lamp in the window flickers. The radio coughs once and goes silent. And then, off to the right, beyond the barn, near the shadowed line of the hedgerow, a second light snaps on, brittle and bright, as if triggered by motion. Someone has just moved out there. Her name is Hannah Mitchell, 24, the age where most people are still collecting futures. She collects fragments, a red barn, a crooked swing, a smell she calls lilac because she needs a word for it. The scar on her right forearm, an inch and a half of pale lightning, joins the list, an old proof of an older story no one could tell her. She grew up with another last name in a neat rental 2 cities over, taught to be careful with doors and generous with thank yous. She learned early that adults go quiet around the subject of beginnings. When she turned 18, she asked for records. At 19, she wrote her first public records request. At 21, she could read a parcel map like other people read faces. She is a journalism student not because she likes headlines, but because she likes answers. In the glove box of the pickup, she keeps a zippered pouch, phone charger, voice recorder, a yellow legal pad with columns, address, contact, note, follow-up. At the top of today's page, she wrote in steady block letters, Mitchell Farm, Des Moines, 7:40 p.m. Over the lines, a small doodle of a horseshoe sits upside down, as she found it on the post, like a sketch of bad luck spilled. On her passenger seat, a folded newspaper clipping, laminated to survive rereading. Polk County girl, 4 missing. Family pleads for help. A photo shows a woman on the farmhouse porch, hair pulled into a hurried ponytail, a heart-shaped locket pressed to her throat. Hannah copied the caption onto the back in pencil years ago. Sarah Mitchell, mother. She has tracked that name through yearbooks, property tax ledgers, and church bulletins that list prayer requests long after the services end. Her phone buzzes. Rachel, saved as Rach Keep Going. Share location, Rachel texts. And check in every 15, hero rules. Not a hero, Hannah types. Just home. She deletes home, writes fieldwork, deletes that too, then sends her location and a photo of the mailbox instead. 3 dots appear. That box looks haunted. It's just old, Hannah replies. Old isn't scary. A beat. Sometimes it is. Hannah slips the phone into the chest pocket of her jacket. The fabric still smells like the laundromat, synthetic ocean and heat. She touches the scar with her thumb the way people touch talismans without believing in talismans, and watches the motion light by the hedgerow burn steady white. She tells herself it's a deer, a raccoon, the wind learning to walk. Her fragilities don't announce themselves, but they're there. The stair-step heartbeat when she walks into police stations, the startle at a certain drum pattern on the radio because it matches the rhythm of a memory, the spiral she falls into after interviews with mothers who haven't stopped setting an extra plate. She has coping rules. Breathe in for 4, hold, out for 6. Keep your feet on the ground. Narrate what is here. Wood, glass, metal, dust. Ask open questions. Record answers. Don't flinch when people say, I don't know. They often do. She thinks of Detective Mark Davis, retired now, who called after she left a message on a number she found under alumni. He apologized for never returning the child in the clipping and said kindly, if you go out there, don't go alone. He didn't say because it's dangerous. He said because we can think braver thoughts when someone else is listening. She promised to text him if she found anything worth the word found. She crosses the threshold of the gate and hears the farm's answer, a low, timbered creak. Her breath shows in the cooling air. Beyond the swing, the barn doors tilt in at the top like tired shoulders. She can almost see the outline of a child in a red windbreaker sprinting from the porch to the yard. She knows that child is her because the brain finds itself even when it has to use imagination to do it. Hannah steps onto the porch. The timer lamp pools soft light around a small table where ring marks have stenciled the wood in circles. Her hand hovers over the doorknob, the way hands hover in museums. She looks at her reflection in the glass. Brown hair tucked into a hurried knot, eyes that hold onto things, a jawline she inherited from an invisible source and then found in a yearbook photo of a teenage Sarah with her debate medal and that same stubborn angle. She speaks softly to hear her voice alive in this place. "I'm Hannah." It makes the room beyond sound less empty, less like a stage set, waiting for its actors to return. Behind her, the hedgerow light clicks off, then on again. She narrates in her head to keep fear from writing its own story, motion sensor with a sensitivity problem, or a thing moving slowly enough to keep tripping it. Her phone vibrates once. A voicemail transcription from Mark Davis. "Heard your pin drop on the map. I'm 15 out. If the neighbor's lights kick, he's got a dog. Don't worry, he's loud, not mean." A moment later, another buzz. Unknown. 515. A local number. She lets it go to voicemail. The second message transcribes as silence, then a breath, then the tiniest scrape, like someone remembering how phones used to sound when cords twisted. Inside, a muted clatter. Not a crash, not the sound of something falling that has waited 20 years to fall, but the light, dry whisper of paper sliding under a draft. Hannah angles her head and sees, under the door, the corner of an envelope. The porch air smells faintly of that powdery lilac again, memory masquerading as weather. "Hey!" A voice, her own, talks into the recorder as she clicks it on. Mitchell Farm, 7:52 p.m. Porch, envelope present under front door, motion light cycling, objective tonight, visual confirmation of interior layout, exterior sweep, no entry without support. She is not brave, she is methodical. Bravery is what people call method when it works. She kneels and pulls the envelope through the dust. To Sarah in a child's print. The paper is new, though, not from 2 decades ago. Inside, there's a photo printed on heavy stock. A porch window ghosted with grime. In the fog of that glass, the fingerprint outline of a heart locket. On the back, block letters. "If you're reading this, it means you came back." Her throat tightens so fast it surprises her. She tastes metal again, the way panic coats a mouth. She forces a breath and reads the line a second time and lets a different meaning land. "You came back" could be a message to Sarah, but someone left it for whoever has the key to this door and the scar to prove it. Someone who knows that the word back can be a map and a mercy. The hedgerow light clicks off. The world goes night. Then, softer than the softest footstep, she hears the swing chain answer, one link slipping over another, a single metallic syllable that says either wind or wait. Her brain offers a child's game she doesn't consciously remember. Count to 10. If the swing moves again, someone is there. 1, she whispers, not sure who she's speaking to. 2. Her phone buzzes at 3. It's Rachel. "You good?" Hannah types, "I found something." She doesn't send it. She takes a photo of the envelope and the locket print instead. The screen brightens her face in the window for half a second, and in that half second, past her own reflection, a second shape seems to stand in the doorway glass, level with her shoulder, as if a person were standing on the other side with their head tilted, just so. She spins, heart punching her ribs, but the glass only holds her, and the room beyond holds dust and a coat hook with nothing hanging, and the air holds its breath. From the dark to her right, the gravel answers under a deliberate step, then another. A low shape moves beyond the porch rail where the yard slips to ditch, and a voice, not the wind, not a radio, not her own, says her name the way it might have been said before the world split. Hannah. The voice doesn't belong to Rachel, doesn't belong to Detective Davis either. It's too close, too quiet, as if it had been rehearsed just outside the edges of memory. Hannah's pulse spikes. She scans the porch rail, but the motion light stays dead. Gravel crunches again, slow, deliberate, measured. She grips the recorder tighter, the red light blinking like a heartbeat in her palm. "Who's there?" she calls, the line between brave and terrified thinner than the scar on her arm. Silence returns, but not silence. Listening. She can feel the attention in the dark, the way you can feel a dog watching from behind a fence, even when you don't see it. Her phone buzzes again, Rachel this time. Still good? Hannah's thumbs hover, then she pockets the phone instead. She wants her hands free. The swing creaks. One single push, not wind. It moves too steady. Hannah edges down the porch steps, boots sinking into gravel. The night air is heavy with damp. The barn radio coughs back alive. Static, a sliver of guitar, static again. She knows timers, but this is off-cycle, almost responsive. The noise fills the silence like nervous laughter at a funeral. Her eyes catch something pale against the hedgerow, a shape. It leans and then straightens. A coat? A person? She steps forward, and the porch light behind her flickers. In the moment of dark, the figure is gone, or hiding. She kneels near the swing, her flashlight cutting a circle. In the dust under the set, two depressions. Small, shoe prints, children's size, too fresh to be 20 years old. The ground still holds them soft. Her breath fogs the beam. She whispers into the recorder, "Swing, motion confirmed. Footprints, small, less than 24 hours. Another sound. Behind her now. The mailbox flag slams down, metal on metal. She whirls. The box is shut, but its door vibrates from the impact. She edges closer, beam steady. The latch is unhooked. Inside, folded paper. She unfolds it under the light. It's a map. The Mitchell property, rough pencil lines, a star scratched over the barn loft, another over the hedgerow. And, drawn darker than the rest, a heart symbol pressed hard into the paper where the farmhouse porch should be. Her phone rings this time. No buzz, no message. Full ring, unknown number, local area code. Against her better judgment, she answers, a breath. The sound of paper tearing, then a child's laugh, brief, high, and cut off. The line drops. Hannah presses the phone to her chest like it might carry a pulse. She tastes that metallic panic again and forces herself to breathe. "If this is a prank," she says out loud, though no one asked, "it's not funny." She turns toward the barn. The star on the map pulls her there. The loft window stares back, dark square, no glass, boards cross-nailed. Yet something glints, reflection of the moon in an object set deliberately, a metal frame, a picture. Wind lifts dust, and the smell of lilac comes sharper this time, undeniable, blooming out of season, drifting from the barn doors. She pushes the barn door. It groans open a few feet before stopping against resistance. Hay bales, stacked like barricades. The radio on the shelf steadies into a tune, not random static now, words shape from the fog of sound. If you're reading this, her chest tightens. It's the same line from the envelope. Someone looped it, recorded it, fed it into the barn radio like a taunt. She sweeps the flashlight. Dust motes swarm, tools hang rusted, a rope coil drips mildew. But there, on the dirt near her boots, are chalk marks, circles drawn in child's hand, hopscotch squares incomplete. Hannah crouches. She touches the chalk. It smudges, powder still soft. Someone played here recently? The radio clicks off, silence slams in, and in the silence, upstairs in the loft, a board shifts, weight settling where no weight should be. Her flashlight beam jumps upward. The glint she saw earlier resolves. A photo frame hung crooked against the wood. Inside, a picture of the farmhouse porch 20 years ago. A little girl stands in the photo. Red windbreaker, smile too wide for her face. Hannah feels her knees weaken. She knows that face, her own. The board above shifts again, a step, then another. She backs out, careful, eyes locked on the loft window. The hedgerow light trips again outside, flashing white through the barn slats. Something is moving in sync. Barn loft, hedgerow, porch. Triangles of motion, as if someone wants her to know she is surrounded. She stumbles into the yard, breath loud in her ears. Behind her, the swing moves a second time, chain squealing. She counts without wanting to. 1, 2, 3. She reaches 7 when the barn loft window lights with a camera flash, blinding, instant. Her vision spots white. When it clears, the loft is dark again. Her phone buzzes. A message from an unknown number. You shouldn't have come back. The night clamps down with a stillness so complete it feels like the whole farm is holding its breath. Hannah whispers into the recorder because silence is worse. Mitchell Farm, 8:17 p.m. Someone is here. They know I'm here. They've been waiting. And then she hears gravel on the road, the crunch of tires, Detective Davis's car pulling up. Relief rises and collapses at once. Because before headlights wash the yard, she hears a child's voice drift from the hedgerow, clear, close, unmistakable. Tag, you're it. Detective Mark Davis kills the engine before the headlights swing across the porch. The gravel crunch fades into the insect hum. Hannah steadies her breath as he climbs out, older than the photo she saw in old clippings, but carrying the same presence. A man who once promised families answers and still feels the debt of not delivering. You came alone, he says, voice low but edged with reproach. I didn't, Hannah answers, pointing to her phone. Rachel's been tracking me, and now you're here. He exhales, not satisfied, but accepting. Show me. She hands him the map pulled from the mailbox. His eyes narrow at the crude pencil stars. That barn loft was searched top to bottom, twice. But not recently, Hannah says. The chalk's fresh. Someone's been here. Davis flicks a flashlight beam toward the loft window. Nothing reflects back. If they wanted to be seen, they've seen us already. They sweep the barn together, dust coats Davis's boots. His light lands on the hopscotch chalk, and his face tightens. Children's games, he mutters, always harder to stomach. He picks up a fragment of chalk from the dirt, snaps it between his fingers. The powder leaves no doubt. From the loft comes the faintest shift again. Both lights jump upward. The photo frame is gone. Hannah whispers, "It was there." "My picture, I swear." Davis nods. "I believe you," which is worse. They retreat to the yard. He scans the hedgerow with a practiced cop's patience. "That neighbor," he says, "John Miller, lived alone after his wife left. Reported hearing nothing the night you vanished. He still keeps a dog. If those lights are his, we'll know soon enough." The hedgerow light blinks once more, then stays dead. Davis checks his watch. "Whoever's doing this, they're staging. For you, for us." Question is, why now? Hannah remembers the envelope. She hands it to him. He studies the handwriting, childlike, but too careful. This isn't from 2005. The ink's new. He flips the photo, reads the words aloud. "If you're reading this, it means you came back." "You think they knew I would?" Hannah asks. "I think someone never left," Davis answers. From the porch, the door creaks open by itself. Both lights hit the frame. No one visible, just the door yawning wider. On the floor inside, the envelope she picked up earlier, another one, identical. Her pulse hammers. That wasn't there before. Davis draws closer, hand hovering near the revolver he still carries, even retired. He bends, snatches the envelope, rips it open. Inside, another photo, same porch, same child in red windbreaker. But this time, Across the child's chest, black marker slashes a word. Liar. The word rattles Hannah. Why liar? Who's lying? Davis pockets the photo. That's what we're here to find out. They sweep the house together. Every step across the warped floorboards sounds like an accusation. The air inside is damp with rot and lilac that shouldn't exist. The living room is stripped, furniture gone, except for one thing, a heart-shaped locket pinned to the wallpaper with a rusty tack. Hannah's throat closes. That's hers, my mother's. She wore it in the photo. Davis studies the tack hole. Fresh wood splinters around it. Planted. On the mantel, an old cassette recorder clicks on. Static spills. Then a voice. Female, trembling, younger. Please bring her home. Hannah recognizes it immediately. Sarah Mitchell, recorded 20 years ago, broadcast during the search. The plea loops, repeating, skipping on the word home. Hannah grips the mantel edge. They're using her voice. Davis presses stop. The silence after is brutal. He pulls a small notebook from his jacket, scribbles dates, details, his cop habits intact. Who knew about this house being sold off? Hannah asks. Family, neighbors, me. And your aunt, Davis replies. The name stings. Hannah remembers the reams of records she pulled. An aunt who vanished from the trail the same week she did. Why her? Hannah whispers. Before Davis can answer, a window shatters down the hall. They rush, beams cutting through dust. The glass lies in shards, but no stone, no brick. Just a single object placed on the sill from the outside. A child's shoe, small, faded red. Hannah sways, memory pierces, running barefoot across wet grass, someone scooping her up, a shoe left behind. She steadies herself against the wall, breath sharp. They want you to remember, Davis says grimly, piece by piece. Her phone buzzes again, another unknown message. This time, ask your mother what she never told you. Hannah's hand shakes as she reads it out loud. Davis sets his jaw. Then that's our next step. Sarah Mitchell. If she's been silent 20 years, it's time she talks. But Hannah can't move yet. The swing outside squeals once more, and the scent of lilac floods the hall as if carried by someone just out of sight. She whispers into her recorder, voice tight, Mitchell Farm, 8:55 p.m. Every clue leads back to the family. Every step feels staged. And someone who knows me, is making sure I don't leave without remembering why I disappeared. The house answers with a groan deep in the walls. Somewhere in the rafters, something small scurries, knocks, stills. Davis kills his light. In the dark, he mutters, They're watching us right now. By the time dawn bleeds pale over the horizon, Hannah hasn't closed her eyes. She sits in Davis's car outside a diner on the edge of Des Moines, hands wrapped around a paper cup of coffee that went cold an hour ago. The recorder rests on the dashboard, still blinking. Every time she hits playback, she hears it. The child's laugh on the phone line, the word liar scrawled across her own chest in that photo. Sarah Mitchell arrives just after 7. Age carved new lines in her face, but the shape of her eyes, the same eyes Hannah sees in the mirror, doesn't lie. She stands frozen by the car door, the locket gleaming faintly against her chest. Hannah opens the door, steps out on unsteady legs. For a moment, both women just breathe the same air, caught between 2 decades of absence. Finally, Hannah says, It's me. Sarah covers her mouth with both hands. Tears spring before sound does. She steps forward but stops short, fear in her posture. They told me you were dead. Davis clears his throat. Mrs. Mitchell, someone's been staging evidence. Someone close. We need your honesty now. Sarah's gaze doesn't leave Hannah's scar. Her voice cracks. It was my sister, your Aunt Lorraine. She took you. The name is a hammer. Hannah reels. Why? Sarah swallows hard, her fingers tightening around the locket. Because I was going to leave. I'd filed for divorce from your father, and Lorraine said I wasn't fit. She told me, If she raised you, you'd be safe. She kidnapped me, Hannah whispers, voice jagged. I thought she moved away. I thought... Sarah's voice breaks. She sent letters at first, promises you were fine, then silence. I begged the police to dig deeper, but without proof. Her shoulders sag under years of guilt. I lied, Hannah, to protect her. I told them she'd never hurt anyone, and that lie kept you away. Davis's jaw tightens. So when the case went cold, it wasn't just lack of leads, it was misdirection, Sarah nods. I thought I was protecting family, but I destroyed it instead. Hannah presses her palms to her eyes, fighting the storm inside her. The phone buzzes again in her pocket. She pulls it out. Another unknown number. This time, a message with an address. Old Miller's shed. Tonight. Davis sees it. That's John Miller's property, right across the hedgerow. Sarah pales. Lorraine used to stay there when she fought with her husband. The truth lands heavy. Hannah hadn't been taken far. She had been hidden next door. That night, they return. The shed crouches behind Miller's farmhouse, sagging, half forgotten. Its padlock is gone, chain loose like a trap already sprung. Inside, the air tastes of dust and mildew. A cot rests against the wall. On it, a box. Hannah lifts the lid. Inside, artifacts of a stolen childhood. A red windbreaker folded neat. A shoebox of Polaroids. Hannah on swings. Hannah in a field. Hannah asleep under quilts, not her own. The photos are recent, too, some dated within the last year. Her stomach drops. She's been watching me. Davis flips through papers in the box. Medical records, school reports, all stolen copies of Hannah's life, as if someone had shadowed her every step. On the back of one photo, scrawled in frantic ink, "You're mine, not hers." Hannah's knees give. She sits hard on the cot. The scent of lilac clings here, too, heavy and unnatural, as if Lorraine marked every space she touched. Behind them, the shed door creaks. Both whip around. John Miller stands there, older, his flannel stained, a dog straining at the leash. His eyes dart between Hannah and Davis. "I told her not to," he blurts. "I told Lorraine she couldn't keep doing this." Davis steps forward. "Where is she now?" Miller's face crumples. "She never left. She's been here all along, in my house. She said Sarah didn't deserve her own daughter." His voice cracks. "She made me promise not to tell." Hannah's chest constricts. Every sound, swing chains, chalk on dirt, lilac on air clicks into place. It wasn't strangers. It wasn't chance. It was blood twisted into obsession. Davis grips his arm. "Where is she now?" Miller points toward the farmhouse, his hand trembling. "Upstairs. She still keeps the room ready. She said one day Hannah would come back, and when she did, she'd stay. Forever." The shed feels smaller, the air denser. Hannah stares at the Polaroids scattered on the cot. 20 years erased, rewritten, hidden next door. The real thief was not distance, but silence. Davis's voice is hard. "We end this tonight." And from the farmhouse window, a curtain shifts. A silhouette of a woman lingers, watching, waiting, as if she'd known all along this confrontation was the only ending possible. They approach the Miller farmhouse by steps, not bravado. Davis calls dispatch for a welfare check. Retired or not, he still knows who answers at night. "Units en route," he tells Hannah. "We talk. We don't rush." John Miller opens the door with both hands raised. The dog whines and retreats. The house smells of dust and lilac, heavy, unmistakable. "Lorraine," John calls, "please." A woman appears at the top of the stairs, gray threaded through dark hair, cardigan too warm for August. In her palm glints a thin heart locket, the replica Hannah saw pinned at the farmhouse. Lorraine's eyes lock on the scar on Hannah's arm, as if the old world reassembles there. "You shouldn't have come," she says. "This is family business." "Family is exactly why we came," Davis answers, calm. "We'll wait for officers, but she deserves to hear you." Lorraine's gaze softens around the memory. You fell on the porch step, she says to Hannah, almost tender. Socks on wood. The memory lands, sharp and true, a slip, a dish towel pressed to skin. Why did you take me? Hannah asks. Because your mother was about to tear the house in half, Lorraine says. Because your father put his fist through a dashboard and I wouldn't let him put it through you. She swallows. And because I had lost Grace. The name shakes loose. My baby, stillborn when the lilacs were out. I buried the bracelet I bought for her under the hedgerow because there was nowhere else to lay it. When I looked at you, I thought God had left a door open. You didn't save me, Hannah says, voice steady. You stole me. Lorraine nods once. Yes, and I kept you where I could watch. I taught you letters. When you cried for your mother, I told you it was hide and seek, and if we were very quiet, she'd find us. John flinches. I told her to stop. She said she would when it was safe. Davis keeps it procedural. The photos, the texts, the staged clues. Lorraine doesn't blink. I wanted her to remember me first, not the woman who left. She never left me, Hannah snaps. She never stopped looking. Sirens whisper far off. No whoop, just tires on gravel. Lorraine's focus returns to Hannah, pleading and unbending at once. If they take me, they'll call me a monster and close the file. I kept you safe. I kept the room ready. Show me, Hannah says. Show me where you kept me. Upstairs, a narrow bed waits under a quilt. On a low shelf, alphabet blocks. On the dresser, a camcorder and a stack of mini DV tapes labeled H4, H5, H6. Mesh sachets on the sill leak the lilac that has haunted every step. On the wall, a string and pin timeline, school pictures of Hannah taken from far fences, gym bleachers, the edge of a parade. A life watched and hoarded. Davis presses play. A date stamp. A small girl blowing on a cut while an unseen woman hums. The child's laugh is the same brief high ribbon that bled through Hannah's phone. Davis nods. The puzzle clicks. Why now? Hannah asks. Because you came back to the farm, Lorraine says simply. I thought you remembered the game. I thought you were ready to stay. A shadow fills the doorway. Sarah stands there, breathless, one hand on the jamb, the other clutching her locket. An officer hovers behind her. For a beat, nobody speaks. Then Sarah's voice firms, low and lethal with grief. Give me back my child. I kept her alive, Lorraine says. You kept her away, Sarah answers, stepping in. Her eyes rake the room, the tapes, the timeline, the sachets. You turned her life into a shrine and called it love. I loved her like a second chance, Lorraine whispers. Hannah stands between them and chooses the tone she wants to live with. You taught me letters, she says softly. You also taught me to be afraid of doors, footsteps, police stations. That isn't love. Tears slide down Lorraine's face. Every year I promised myself, one more, then I'll bring her back. Then you grew, and I kept moving the line. Her stare goes to the camcorder. When you laughed, the house felt human again. Sarah's voice breaks. You recorded my child and mailed me silence. Boots thud in the hall. Another officer. Davis's tone goes official. Lorraine Mitchell, you need to come with us to answer for what you've done. Panic flashes, then fades. Lorraine looks at Hannah one last time. They'll lock me away and call it justice. Before I go, there's something under the farmhouse porch. Third plank, a letter from your father. Her eyes flick to Sarah. She hid it once. I kept it because I wanted to be the person with answers. I am sorry. Sarah flinches like the words strike bone. I tried to keep you from pain you couldn't use, she tells Hannah, raw. I was wrong. Hannah thinks of the porch, of the upside-down horseshoe, of every choice that bent their lives. She feels not just theft, but the grief braided through it. Lorraine's baby named Grace. Sarah's 20 years of setting an extra plate. John's cowardly loyalty. Davis's ledger of families he couldn't make whole. The room is crowded with ghosts that breathe. She turns to Sarah and places her mother's hand over the pale lightning on her forearm. I can't fix the past, she says, but I can decide what happens next." Sarah nods, tears bright. "Tell our story, no more holes." Outside, a cruiser idles. Lorraine doesn't fight the cuffs. John leans against the frame, murmur stuck on, "I'm sorry." Davis steps into the hall to route statements and scene logs, cop rhythms he never forgot. Hannah stays a second longer. She tears open a lilac sachet, dumps the dry petals in the sink, runs water until the scent thins. It feels like taking her name back from a smell. Davis returns. "You don't have to watch the car leave." "I'm not," she says. "I'm going to the porch." The farmhouse is blue with morning. An officer pries the third plank. Nails squeal. Wood lifts. Beneath waxed paper sleeps an envelope sealed with ambered tape. "To Hannah" is written in a steady hand. Hannah opens it while Sarah stares at the horizon. The letter is short. "Sweet pea, I am leaving because I am not good at staying. Your mother is better than me at everything that matters. You are safer with her. Someday I hope I can come back a better man. If I don't, know that leaving was the only thing I did right. When you smell lilacs in spring, think of your first summer in this yard and know you were loved." Hannah reads it twice, first as a child, then as a woman. The paper trembles in her hand, not from wind. She folds along the old crease and tucks it into her jacket. "We tell the truth," she says at last, voice low. "All of it." "All of it," Sarah echoes. Davis clears his throat, humanity edging past procedure. "Some endings don't have villains," he says, "just broken people." The porch lamp clicks off with the day. Wind lifts the corn into a slow green tide. The swing moves once. No message, just morning doing its job. Hannah looks at the gatepost. "There's one more thing." "What?" Sarah asks. "Put the horseshoe upright." She finds a hammer and steps off the porch. Metal meets wood with a clean, ringing certainty. Before the second nail sets, her phone vibrates. An unknown number leaves a 3-word voicemail that freezes her breath. Check the attic. The attic. The single space no one had touched, sealed beneath rafters warped with time. Officers sweep the ground floor first, methodical, but Hannah insists. "If the last message brought us here, we don't ignore it." The ladder groans as she climbs. Davis just below, Sarah clutching the bottom rung like it might anchor the years she lost. Dust rains on Hannah's jacket. As her head clears the opening, the beam of her flashlight carves through webs and insulation fluff. At first, nothing. Boxes sagging with newspapers, canning jars cloudy with age. Then she sees it, a trunk. Small cedar lid cracked from humidity. The lock is long broken. She kneels, heart pounding, and lifts the lid. Inside, tapes. Dozens, neatly labeled. Hannah 4, Hannah 5, Hannah 6. Years cataloged. Not stolen at a distance, but recorded here, in this house, by Lorraine's hand. Hannah reels as realization cements. Lorraine hadn't just kept her close. She had archived her, as if memory could be proof of ownership. Beneath the tapes lies one last envelope, brittle with age. No name. She opens it and finds a photograph. Sarah holding her at 4, cheeks pressed together, a farm dog at their feet. Across the back, a handwritten line. "Don't forget this was real." Her throat tightens. She holds the photo into the flashlight's cone so Sarah can see from below. Tears carve Sarah's face, as if time itself had bent open. Davis exhales. Sometimes they hide the truth right next to the lie. Hannah tucks the photo into her pocket, heavier than any evidence bag. She doesn't need to keep all the tapes. They are relics of captivity, not of life. She leaves them for the officers. The photo, though, that is hers. When she climbs down, Sarah takes her hand in both of hers, no words, just a mother holding what she almost lost twice. Outside, Lorraine sits in the back of the cruiser, wrists cuffed, eyes closed, as if she knows exactly what Hannah found. Hannah stops at the porch one last time, runs her hand over the rail where rust and splinters blend. "It's over," she says softly, though the words feel both true and unfinished. Davis looks at her recorder, still blinking. "What will you do with it?" "Keep it running," she answers, "but tell it differently." Days later, Hannah sits at her desk in a small off-campus apartment. The recorder lies on the table, red light still pulsing. She replays the final entry, her own voice saying, "We tell the truth. All of it." She writes. Not a police report, not a feature story, but a testimony. About a family broken by fear, by silence, by choices disguised as protection. About a detective who refused to stop carrying the weight of missing children. About a mother who lived 2 decades half empty. About an aunt who confused possession for love. And about a girl who disappeared at 4 but who found her way back to the farm 20 years later, scarred but whole enough to claim her name. She pauses, lifts the old photo, the one where Sarah held her in sunlight. The paper is creased, but the moment inside is intact. She props it by the window. The air outside carries faint lilac, but this time it doesn't choke, it softens. Hannah breathes it without fear. Her phone buzzes, a new message from Rachel. "How does it end?" Hannah types back. It doesn't. It just keeps telling the truth, until the truth feels lighter. She hits save on the draft of her story, closes the laptop, and whispers to herself, words she never thought she'd own. "I'm home." The recorder clicks off for the first time since the farm. The red light dies. And the silence that follows is not absence, it is peace.